Whilst in Barbados, Info on Scuba Diving has had a chance to have a look at some of the ecological work that's involved here, and I'm here with Professor Julia Horrocks. Hello Julia.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Can you tell me where you work and what you do, please?
Yeah, I'm director of the Barbados Sea Turtle Project, which is an activity of the University of the West Indies to conserve endangered populations of sea turtles around Barbados.
And what breed of turtles do you get here?
Mainly it's Hawksbill turtles. That's on the west and the south coast of the island. They like to nest on the quieter beaches where there's lower wave energy. And then we have also leatherback turtles on the north-east coast, the Atlantic side of the island, where you've got big crashing waves. They prefer that type of a beach. So
exactly what does your work involve?
Well, I'm actually a lecturer at the university, so that's my primary occupation. But with regard to the sea turtles, we run this very hands-on project. It's got several components. The conservation activities that we do, such as protection of nesting females on the beach, recovery of hatchlings that are disorientated by lights, which is a problem along the west and the south coast of the island. We run a monitoring program in collaboration with the government of Barbados, the Fisheries Division, whereby we are basically assessing changes in abundance from year to year to see if the conservation activities that we're undertaking are having a positive impact. And then we also conduct research, which is really to improve our conservation activities. And so I have several postgraduate students who are involved in different aspects of particularly Hawksbill research.
And we've seen a few people out on the boat working to do some analysis of the statistics, and they obviously work for you.
Yes, that's right. The work that you saw on the boat, and this is studying Hawksbill turtles in the water. There are many studies of nesting Hawksbill turtles, but studies of Hawksbill turtles in the water are quite few and far between, because it's obviously a much more difficult medium in which to work.
I understand it does take a number of years for a female turtle to reach maturity.
That's right. The Hawksbill takes about 20 or 30 years before she's ready to reproduce for the first time.
Once she has reproduced, what's the mortality rate for the hatchlings?
Well, the estimates suggest about 1 in 1,000, so the mortality is extremely high. If they survive that very sort of difficult period of life and they become adults, then they can expect, in the absence of interference by human beings, they can expect to live for decades and be reproductively active over several decades.
So their worst enemy is man?
Yeah, I would say so. You know, Hawksbill turtles have been exploited very heavily in the past for meat, for their eggs, and particularly for the shell, which is used to make tortoiseshell jewellery and trinkets. And that's the primary reason why they're critically endangered today. Now that there's less pressure on them, exploitation pressure on them by people, there is a new problem for them, and that is the competition that they face for the nesting beaches. All the coastal development that goes on has a negative impact on their ability to nest successfully.
Have you any idea of population levels?
Around Barbados, we have a very large nesting population, in fact the second largest in the wider Caribbean, and that is really a result of conservation activities that have been going on for the last 2 decades. The population is nowhere near what it was, you know, pre-European times in the Caribbean, but we know, for example, that we have several hundred females are nesting here every year.
And they come back to the same beach every year, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. Not every year, but every nesting season. So Hawksbill turtles nest at 2 to 3 year intervals, and yes, they're quite faithful in that they come back to the same nesting beach.
So can you give some advice to some people, the tourists that come, love the beaches because of they're just so nice and pure, but obviously the turtles have a priority there over us. What should somebody do if they see a turtle?
What we ask people to do is actually to either alert the security or the front desk personnel in the hotel, who will in turn call our sea turtle hotline We have a 24-hour hotline that people can call, and we're interested in any event involving a sea turtle. And we will get there as quickly as we can in order to check the tags of the female. If she's not tagged, to re-tag her, to tag her for the first time, and then to see where she's actually made her nest, make sure it's in a position which isn't going to be washed out by the sea, for example. And if it's a local person who makes that call, and anybody can call the hotline, then we encourage them to basically try to follow through with that nest until it's ready to hatch, which is a period of about 2 months.
And of course you have the local school children you try and educate as
Oh
well.
yes, yeah, we have a schools programme that goes from preschool through to university, really, because obviously we have quite a lot of sea turtle biology and conservation in the curriculum of the University of the West Indies too.
But finally, can I ask you, why is it so important that we look after the turtles?
It's very important for a number of different reasons. First of all, for the animals themselves, they have intrinsic value. They have value in their own right. If we're talking about their value to human beings, yes, they have value for the products that you can get from them, but their live value is more important. The Hawksbill turtle, for example, plays a very important role in the dynamics of coral reef ecosystems. They are the largest vertebrate spongivore, in other words, a large animal that eats sponges on the reef. And sponges can compete for space on the reef with other sessile organisms like corals. And in fact, they can be better competitors, so that if you have corals and sponges growing alongside each other, the sponge can overgrow the coral. So the Hawksbill turtle was, a very integral part of controlling the sponge populations on the reef. So that means that it's a very important part of an important component of the biodiversity on the coral reef ecosystem. And if we want to preserve the reefs, we have to preserve these important components as well. And of course it has value alive for ecotourism, whether you're watching them on the nesting beach or you're diving and swimming with them. They are of value, and they're an important attraction to countries like Barbados.
Well, education is hopefully getting the message through, and we look forward to seeing the populations growing. Thank you very much for talking to us. Thank you. We've been out on the boat with you today, and we've seen you actually dealing with the turtles. What exactly were you all doing?
Well, basically we were recording biological data in terms of the length, the width, the weight. The turtle was tagged. We tagged turtles so that we can keep a record of the turtles that we have foraging here. So we check the tag, and thus you are able to monitor the turtle as the turtle grows, and the movement, if it moves from a particular reef to a particular reef as it grows.
And what's the purpose of this though?
The purpose of this is part of the Barbados Sea Turtle Project, and it is to help to increase the survival of the Hawksbill species, which is right now is a critically endangered species. So we're trying to get the populations to return to levels that were previously seen.
So what sort of levels of the population are there then? We were talking earlier on the boat, but not as many as I would have thought.
I'm not sure of the actual figures, but all I know is that the population has been decimated and has recently plateaued, and now we're hoping that the levels are now increasing due to widespread conservation across the Caribbean.
So Adam, you're a volunteer here?
Yes.
You've just finished your university?
Yeah, I finished my degree just before I came out here. I'm out here for 3.5 months. It varies the time we come out, some 3 months, some 4 months, and Alice up to about just under 6 months. The whole summer, the whole nesting season.
So do you actually harm them in any way? Does it scare them, or?
A lot of the project is to stop them getting scared, is to help them. We have day patrols and night patrols that go along the beaches every day, and a large aspect of that is controlling human impact on them. Like things like the lights that attract the turtles, the nesting to the hotels as opposed to the ocean, or the tourists coming taking photos right in their face, or too much flash photography around the nesting female.
So when is turtle nesting season?
It runs from May to October, with the peak being in July.
And during all this time there's constant patrols to ensure their
Yes.
well-being?
The whole summer.
Every night, yes.
We have somebody, the project leader is on patrol. He doesn't have all the volunteers throughout the year, but throughout the year he's available for any females that come up to the beach, and we get calls on our turtle hotline throughout the year. And so he's on his own, will go to a beach where there's a female throughout the year, because they do come up to nest throughout the year, but it's just
The peak runs from May to October, but they nest all year round.
So we saw you on the boat earlier with them upside down. Are they not stressed in any way with this? I mean, people that wouldn't know anything about what you're doing might say that you're maybe being a bit cruel to them. How would you answer that?
I think it does look a little bit stressful. I mean, we try to make it as stress-free as possible and as quick as possible.
But really the whole point is that the long-term good is for what it's all about, isn't it?
Overall, it's doing more good things than bad.
And that's really the message that we need to get across to people, that they have to be caught in a careful way. And then you tag them, don't you? You put little tags on them which identify them for the future.
Yes.
And then you release them carefully back into the.
Yeah.
We saw one swim away quite happily.
Yeah, we had one last week who sort of just went and then bobbed up and down for a few minutes and just looked around. And they're not like most of the time. They don't. I mean, we're not hurting them. We're just sort of making them a bit stressed.
Yeah.
But it has to be done, and it's as quick as possible.
And it's shown over the past few years that it is helping. The efforts of the project have been helping them, so the population has started to rise.
So for anybody watching from overseas who's maybe a student or they've got a bit of time on their hands, fancy doing a bit of voluntary work to get involved, how do they contact you?
The best way is to go to the website of Barbados Sea Turtle Project, called barbadosseaturtles.org, and there you find all the information on the project, photos of past volunteers, things like that, and all the information you'll need.
For locals, it's not overseas, but for locals we give out leaflets and do hotel talks and all that stuff. So we give out these leaflets to everybody on the beach, gives you just general information about what you to do when you see a turtle on the beach, and especially when you see hatchlings, because that's the most common thing as the season progresses, that we get hatchlings that go in every direction when they come out of the nest. So we just ask sort of tourists and locals just to put them in a bucket with some sand, not water, and cover them with a towel, with a damp towel, and then call us. So we have our hotline number on the back, and that's it.
Well, Alice, Julian, Adam, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.